J. Lalezari, class of 1977, physician. Devoted his life to discovering the roots of AIDS. Does research as director of Quest Clinical Research in San Francisco. Runs dozens of clinical trials, 23 now, including one on AIDS and hepatitis, herpes simplex, and human papilloma virus. I also saw Jay teach yesterday, and he is a gifted teacher. He engaged everybody in the class. The large number of the kids who stayed afterwards, because it was the end of the day, didn't want to let him go. Eventually I had to go because I got tired, but I don't know how long it went, but it was a wonderful day, and Jay, thank you so much.
I'm not sure how you actually follow Yuki's talk there. Thank you very much for sharing your light of your story. And Len Talevi, I loved you, but now I love you plus. Just want to begin by thanking Mr. Rothschild and Ricardo and the Alumni Association. This is a lovely award, and it's received with a very grateful heart. You'd be surprised, and I'm surprised by actually how much this means to me. Coming back home for this weekend has been a triple treat. As Eric said, I got to go to a biology class yesterday, which was super fun. And my family, we ran around the fields of Fox Meadow yesterday. And I got to see some old friends that I've seen far too little of over the years. And I'm here with my family today, my mother and father, my Marcy, and my almost 6-year-old boy, Max, who I've threatened if he doesn't behave, he's going to come up here and sing a song for you all. So far, so good, Max. And it's a privilege to be with so many accomplished people on this Alumni Award. Thinking about Scarsdale, you know, we've all said it in one way or another, there's no place that's impacted me more in my life than this community and this school system. There are times, I'm 52 now, and there are times when I'm laying in bed at night dreaming and I'm still just a little boy running around the fields of Fox Meadow. And there are times when I'm hurting as an adult where I'm still just a teenager full of angst roaming the halls of this high school. So Scarsdale was the seminal place in my emotional development. Wanted to share one quick story. And that is, I was a senior here in high school in 1976. I had the good fortune of taking history with Mr. Rothschild. And as you'll recall, that was the year of a presidential election, the peanut farmer Jimmy Carter versus the incumbent Gerald Ford. And Mr. Rothschild got the notion that it would be a great idea for our class to have a mock election. And he further had the idea, for reasons that will only remain with Eric, that I would be a good person to play the role of Jimmy Carter. And I was supposed to go around and canvass the electors and work the swing states and so on and whatever. What Eric didn't quite reckon on was the fact that I was dating a young woman named Kathy at the time. And Kathy was in the history class with us, and I was just far more interested in her geography than I was in the Electoral College map of the United States. And so when election time came, fortunately, Mr. Carter prevailed on the national stage, but really failed quite miserably in our classroom. And Eric came up to me the next day and said, "Jay, how could you? How could you blow this? It was in the bag." And I just want Eric Rothschild to know that I've spent the rest of the years since trying to become the man that might have won that election that was in the bag. It's getting late. I'll say a few words about myself. I went to college and medical school and moved to San Francisco in 1986, where I started basically an AIDS clinical research program. Hepatitis and herpes and papilloma and a few other viruses besides. And it's been an amazing run. There's few areas of medicine that have shifted more dramatically than the care of HIV, and now actually hepatitis C as well, than AIDS did from the incredibly black period in the mid-'80s to where we are today, where most people are doing quite well, basically have a functional cure for just about everybody who has access to care. And it's been an incredible privilege to be a part of that change that was so urgently needed when I first moved there. And the why and the how of why and how I was able to start that research program and pull it off is very much in this room with us today. As for the why, my mother is a Holocaust survivor. She spent the war hiding in a convent. Nuns hid her from the Nazis. Her mother spent the war in an underground bunker in the woods, while the rest of their rather large family was lost. My father is a world-class research immunologist, one of the founding fathers of transplantation immunology. And so the why of what I did was very simple. You take those two ancestral time points and you just project forward, and there's really no question why the issue of their union would end up working in a holocaust of young people dying of immune deficiency. That was no mystery. The how I was able to do it, aside from the gumption that God chose to give me, was about this school system, which always strove to push excellence as something that was desirable, something not to be afraid of, something we should move toward. Throughout, starting way before Mr. Talevi, including Mr. Talevi, up through Mr. Rothschild. And it's that school system and this community that gave me the gifts, the tools that enabled me to build that research program. And that is a gift for which I'll always be grateful for. Very grateful indeed. Thank you very much. You want to come up and sing now?
Spanish.